Hello everyone, today is 5th of June, now it's 10 to 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is first part of today's update in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second part will be published on my Patreon page, and if you are interested in more news from Russia, in commentary, maybe in some non-political content also, that I publish on regular basis on my Patreon, please consider to subscribe. Link is under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Of course, your subscription will be a great support to this small media project of mine. That's been said, and you can choose, by the way, level of subscription, level of support. It's monthly subscription, and you can choose from $5 a month to 10, 20, 50, up to 100. It's up to you. That's been said. Before I start news update, let me thank all of you, dear friends, and I have a very good reason to be grateful to you, because somehow we managed to influence algorithm of YouTube yesterday, and as you can see here on my YouTube channel, yesterday's first part received some 32,000 views for this moment, which is a quite rare occasion for this small channel. Only few videos have more than 30,000 views, and also, by the way, because with the comments and with the likes we managed to influence, and with the sharing the information about the channel, we managed to influence algorithm. Video was shown in recommendations, and many people who are interested in news in general and in news from Russia see this channel first time, and many of them subscribed, and we have now more than 300 new members in our community. And of course, I welcome all new members, and well, thank you all for your attention, for your support. You are a great community, dear friends, and new members will find out about it soon. We have a tiny, maybe, but very friendly community. That's been said. Let's talk about news now. And well, there was no reports about groundbreaking changes on the line of contact in the zone of special military operations, so I will skip them out for now, and I will come back to it in the second part of the update. And today's a news update. I'm gonna start with this information about statement of Lavrov in regards to situation around Scott Ritter, U.S. Media personality, military expert, former UN weapons inspector, and voice of reason. As we all know, he was traveling to Russia to participate in St. Petersburg's economical forum. Also, Judge Napolitano supposed to travel, well, Scott Ritter, while he was boarding the plane, he was called by some officers in airport. His passport was taken from him without much explanation. As far as we know for now, State Department was behind this unlawful operation, and Scott Ritter was escorted outside of airport without any charges, by the way, against him. So nobody understands what the hell is wrong with the State Department or the state institutions in US, that they are acting this illegally, this openly. I mean, this is a total disgrace of the Biden's administration and the state institutions of the US. And Lavrov, by the way, commenting on the situation, called US a police state, and I guess many members of our community from US will probably agree with this statement. US is becoming, if not already become, a state police state. And as I mentioned, by the way, Judge Napolitano is supposed to travel to Russia also to participate in economical forum. And earlier yesterday, there was reports that he experienced the same as a Scott Ritter, but situation is different there. yesterday Scott Ritter was a guest on Judge Napolitano's show, and they give us explanation to what happened. And well, Scott Ritter, even before he went to airport, find out that the sponsor of their trip to Russia was arrested somewhere in Russia, in one of the cities. I will provide information about that sponsor and what happened there in the second part of today's update on a Patreon. So that sponsor was arrested, and because Scott Ritter did not know details, did not know what was going on, he called Judge Napolitano, because it was Scott Ritter's initiative, Judge Napolitano, to participate in this, to visit Russia and participate in economical forum, and he recommended basically to Judge Napolitano to postpone visit, not to fly to Russia, and probably that's why Judge Napolitano did not experience exactly the same as Scott Ritter. Probably, I mean, that's we cannot know for sure, but most likely State Department will act same way towards him also, if he will enter the airport. So that's the situation for this moment. Of course, Scott Ritter will try to fight now with the State Department. Maybe there will be some lawsuit. I don't know, but probably we will learn some more, because this is just outrageous acting from the Biden's administration. This is crazy, by the way. This is crazy, man. It's a U.S. after all, is not some banana republic, isn't it? So what is going on there? Anyways, that's the situation for this moment. And when it comes to economical forum itself, I reported about it on my Telegram channel this morning. By the way, subscribe if you can, if you have a Telegram. Please subscribe to my Telegram channel. It's free. It's free, and I'm trying as much as I can, time-wise, and to keep my channel informative. Link is on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And well, this morning I reported that St. Petersburg's International Economical Forum opens today and will last until June 8. This year, the main topic of the forum will be the basics of the multipolarity and the formation of the new growth centers. It's gonna be interesting. Dozens of delegations from dozens of countries, state officials, businesses. I'm quite sure contracts will be signed by different businesses for billions and billions during this economical forum, and it's gonna be success. I have no doubts about it. Western ruling class maybe wants it to be otherwise. Maybe they want no one to came to this economical forum, no one to participate, but exactly opposite will happen, and we will learn about it in upcoming days. Of course, I will share information also in next updates and on my Telegram. So economical forum starts operating today and will last until 8th of June. Let's continue with some other news now, and Cosmonaut newspaper is reporting, based on information of Russian Defense Ministry, that during the night time, Russian air defense system shut down 2 drones over the Belgorod region, 2 drones over the Kursk region, and also one drone, this is all Ukrainian drones, by the way, and 1 drone over the Voronezh region. Kiev regime once again tried to conduct strike deep inside the Russian territory with the assistance, or maybe with direct control, of the NATO. Most likely that's the case. Lentorus report about this very strange story that happened yesterday in regards to US HQ-4 Global Hawk drone that was circulating over the Black Sea. At some point, this drone disappeared from radars, and many people, thousands of people, by the way, was tracking this drone on a flight radar website. Probably Global Hawk turned off its transponder. That's why it disappeared, and then it reappeared in some 170 kilometers from the Yalta, Russian city, and over the Black Sea. And before this plane reappeared, this drone reappeared, rumors start circulating on the internet that Russia destroyed this drone, Russia shut down this drone, this happened and that happened, and people were expecting this drone to be shut down because earlier also rumors start circulating actively, spreading like wildfire on the internet, that Russia made decision to destroy all NATO drones over their Black Sea, at least over the northern part of Black Sea, in close proximity from Crimea and Russian coastline in general. And I was kind of surprised when I see these rumors on internet, because no Russian officials stated anything about it, no military experts said anything about it. So I don't know from where these rumors were generated. But anyways, that's why yesterday, when this drone disappeared for a little time, everyone started assuming that Russia destroyed it, but it's not the case. This drone reappeared and probably went to its base safely, I guess. And well, tensions, by the way, is so high at this point that probably everybody who watches the news, who wants to understand what is going on, everybody are expecting some sort of Russian retaliatory strike because of the recent development when NATO member states authorized strikes with their long-range NATO weapons deep inside Russian territory in internationally recognized borders, and those strikes already taking place. And everyone is expecting Russian retaliation, and that's why probably these rumors were spreading like wildfire about this drone. I don't know when will Russia retaliate, or even if Russia will retaliate at all. Hard to tell, by the way. Of course, Kremlin is not sharing information with me. I was for a long time saying that at some point Moscow will find itself in a situation when leadership of Russia probably will see no any other way out but to use some extreme force and this way try to bring to their senses Western ruling class. Probably Moscow is already in that situation, but still, by the way, it is possible that we will see no Russian retaliatory strike. Russian leadership is quite keen to avoid next level of escalation with the NATO, and we all should be grateful for that, because just imagine Russia start destroying these drones or the Black Sea, or Russia retaliated on logistical hubs of the NATO in Germany, in Poland, in Romania, that are used to transfer weapons to Ukraine. What will happen in that case? Of course, NATO member states can revoke Fifth Article. They can claim that they are under attack, and NATO will also retaliate openly. Once NATO will retaliate, Moscow will retaliate again on this retaliation, and this spiral will continue possibly until sides will start using nukes. And do we really want to end up in that situation when Russia and the collective West are targeting each other with the nukes? I don't think so. We don't really need that. No matter where we live, by the way, in Russia, in Germany, in Poland, in US, in Sri Lanka, by the way, in Australia, none of us need this. In China, we don't need nuclear exchange to happen, and therefore I can understand, and I'm grateful, as I mentioned in previous updates, by the way, I'm grateful that Russian leadership is trying its best to avoid the next level of escalation. But same time, I'm afraid at some point, if NATO or Western ruling class will not stop this constant escalation, at some point, probably Putin will say, you know what, I mean, there is no any other way around, just, you know, we have to retaliate now, and then God knows what will happen. So if some people are, you know, excited to see Russian strikes on Russian retaliatory strikes against the collective Western ruling class, I mean, those people, if they want to see it, are very much mistaken, because the situation may escalate quickly up to nuclear exchange, and then what? So I don't know. Let's hope somehow, I don't know, maybe with the backdoor communication, maybe with participation of some other parties, Moscow and major Western capitals will manage to de-escalate at least a little bit, so that the world will not end up in a nuclear war. But I mean, only time will tell what will happen. RT's report that, and also, dear friends, it's this International Economical Forum now in St. Petersburg. It will last until 8th of June, and even if Moscow already has made up its mind, and if decision was made to retaliate, because everyone understands that without, I mean, only way Western ruling class will start thinking if they are forced to do so. If a decision was made, probably Russian retaliatory strikes will take place after 8th of June, after this St. Petersburg's International Economical Forum will end. Maybe, I mean, hard to tell here, friends. Of course, Russian leadership is not sharing with me information, but I mean, let's see. No one really knows, with the exception of a few people, what is going to happen. But tension is extremely high, and many people, quite understandably so, are expecting things to escalate even further. RT's report here that according to studies that was conducted in Ukraine, almost half of the Ukrainians believe democracy is in decline under the Zelensky. Interesting news. I wanted to share with you this information to highlight how delusional, how effective propaganda is really, and as a result of this effectiveness of propaganda, how delusional people may become. Because according to studies, almost half, not even half, by the way, almost half of the Ukrainians believe democracy in decline under the Zelensky. What democracy, man? You don't have a country. And whatever is now Ukraine is run by mass murderers and criminals. It's a most corrupt system in the world, one of the most corrupt systems in the world, and you are talking about decline of democracy? What democracy? Zelensky is not even a legit president of Ukraine. What are you talking about? But according to studies, only almost half, by the way, of the Ukrainians think that there is some issues there. Rest of the society thinks situation is okay. I mean, this is crazy, man. If this study is correct, reliable, and if people in Ukraine really think this way, then, well, I feel sorry for them, man. I mean, what propaganda did to these people, man, and their understanding of the reality, I don't know. But let's go through this news here. Almost half of Ukrainians believe that democratic institutions have worsened in the country during their 5 years of the Vladimir Zelensky's presidency. Study has shown Zelensky remains in power in Ukraine despite his term in office having officially expired on May 20. The politician had earlier opted to scrap presidential elections, citing the fact that martial law had been imposed due to ongoing military conflict with Russia. On Tuesday, the Kiev International Institute of Sociology published the results of a poll suggesting that some 43% of Ukrainians think that democracy has deteriorated in the country under Zelensky. Another 29% said that there was no change, and 90% expressed belief that the institutions had actually improved during the period, according to the study. I mean, these 90% are clearly in some parallel universe, man. But also a majority, because just 43% thinks that there are some issues. Unbelievable, man, unbelievable. And this is mainly because of the propaganda, by the way. Propaganda is brainwashing people on extreme levels, and they see stuff that don't really exist as a result of this brainwashing. Of those who noted the decline in democracy, 28% said the actions of their authorities were to blame. The number of respondents who believe that their freedoms are being curtailed because of the conflict between Moscow and Kiev stands at only 11%, with another 3% saying that both factors have played a role. The poll, which was carried out by phone among the more than 1,000 people in May, this poll was conducted. Some 49% also said that the Ukrainian economy, the creation of their conditions for development, transparency of rules, and fairness of the government's attitude towards businesses has also worsened during the Zelensky's rule. Out of this number, 23% linked their problems to national policymakers, with 60.5% saying that the economy has suffered because of the military conflict. The study reads. So, well, despite the confrontation, by the way, despite the military conflict, among people that still are able to think critically, among those people, majority still thinks that the situation is deteriorating mainly because of their authorities and their actions. So interesting study, but yet again, of course, I cannot know how reliable this Ukrainian institution is, which conducted this study, but quite interesting numbers. Also, let's continue. Zglyad newspaper is reporting that MP in Germany, by the way, MP in the Bundestag, claims that NATO is preparing some false flag operation, provocation, to introduce NATO troops to Ukraine. This was stated by Savim Dagdelen, lawmaker in Germany's parliament, and well, it is possibility, isn't it? It is possibility. False flag can be conducted. You know my take on the situation in Ukraine. I said I was saying from the beginning of this conflict, by the way, basically, that once this conflict will end, there will be no more Ukraine, most likely on the political map. Majority of territory will be liberated by Russian forces, and the western parts of Ukraine will be occupied by NATO, and eventually Poland, Hungary, and Romania probably will claim those territories, because those territories used to be part of these countries before Second World War in case of Poland and Romania, and before First World War in case of Hungary. So therefore I expect NATO troops, large number, by the way, not some small groups, but thousands and thousands of NATO troops to be deployed into the western Ukraine at least. And then only question will be, will those NATO contingent troops stay in the western Ukraine, or will they move towards other regions also? If they stay in western Ukraine, there will be possibility, despite the high tensions between Russia and NATO, there will be possibility to avoid a full-scale conflict between the sides. Even in case of some skirmishes between the local scale skirmishes between Russia and NATO troops. But if those if NATO contingent will move outside of western Ukraine, that will change calculus entirely, and most likely in that case, large-scale confrontation between the sides won't be avoidable. We will not avoid large-scale conflict in that scenario. Let's see how well situation develop. But this MP from Germany definitely has a point. It is highly likely that some false flag operation will take place, because NATO needs some pretext, isn't it? Why they are deploying these thousands and thousands of troops into Western Ukraine? They need something for public, and they will generate reasoning. It might be false flag operation or something else, but we will find out in relatively short time. How long is this update? Okay. RIA Novosti's report that White House is excluding for now deployment of US military personnel, instructors to Ukraine. This was stated by Jake Sullivan, aide of the Biden in some national security matters. Okay, this is a statement for now, but eventually I'm 99% sure that US troops will also end up in at least Western Ukraine. I'm quite sure about it. And RT's report here that NATO is preparing troops plans for a potential Russia conflict. According to Telegraph, NATO is working on the plans to rush tens of thousands of US troops, by the way, along the land corridors in the Western Europe in the event of the war with Russia. A senior strategist has told Telegraph, last year members of the US-led military bloc agreed to keep 300,000 troops ready for deployment in response to a potential Russian attack. However, training exercises have exposed red tape and infrastructure bottlenecks that prevent the rapid transfer of their personnel and their material across the continent. NATO military leadership is therefore working to ensure that the flow of troops would not be stopped by likely Russian strikes on ports used by the US military to unload its cargoes, the Telegraph reported on Tuesday. Well, by the way, once again, if confrontation, first of all, let's hope there will be no confrontation between Russia and NATO. And me personally, I'm still a little optimistic that there will be no large-scale conflict between Russia and NATO. I really believe in that. Although I can understand the skepticism of many people that are almost 100% sure that at this point conflict is almost impossible to avoid. But still, I'm a little more optimistic, and in my opinion, even though there may be some local scale skirmishes, some exchange of fire between Russian and NATO troops, there will be no large scale military conflict and nuclear exchange and that kind of stuff. But I might be mistaken, I don't know. And as we can see, NATO is in full preparations for the war. Just recently, by the way, a couple of days ago, this largest military exercises of the NATO since the end of Cold War finished in Eastern Europe. And this information only confirms these attempts from NATO to prepare for a possible war with Russia. Although I have a question. Telegraph should ask whoever they interviewed how they gonna operate with the ports or with any infrastructure when there will be none left, because it seems like these people, by the way, that are in charge of the Western military, and also many so-called journalists in the Western propaganda outlets, including Telegraph, seems like they don't really understand what nuclear weapons are and how destructive those weapons are. Are they even see at least videos, old videos of testings of those weapon systems. They should have I mean, they are writing and talking about military conflict with a nuclear superpower, and they are not considering nukes and how destructive nuclear exchange can be. There will be no ports, by the way, left. Literally nothing will be left from the ports. There will be nothing left from their big military bases. There will be nothing left from their transportational arteries and their logistical hubs. Nothing, literally nothing, because explosion of 200 kiloton nuclear weapon will incinerate everything there in radius of at least 5 kilometers and destroy everything beyond repair in radius of some 10 kilometers, if not more, by the way. This is at least. So what are they talking about, man? These people clearly don't understand what might happen if Russia and NATO will end up in a war. Crazy, man, crazy. But yet again, me personally, by the way, I'm still a little more optimistic, and maybe because I don't want to see nuclear war, by the way, I don't know, but I'm still a little more optimistic that there will be no nuclear exchange and there will be no large-scale conflict between Russia and NATO, because it's insane, Blin. It's insane. It should never happen. Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that Kremlin reacted on information that some French troops already been deployed into Ukraine, and press spokesman of the Russian president Dmitry Peskov stated that any foreign military personnel sent to Ukraine will be legitimate target for Russian strikes, whether they are from France or anywhere else. And that's a quite short and quite revealing statement from Kremlin. And it is expected, by the way, that tomorrow on 6th of June, President of France Macron will probably make statements about deployment of French troops into Ukraine, and maybe he will reveal that some French troops already are in Ukraine, because it is the case according to some reports. This statement of Macron comes on the background of the celebrations in France of Normandy landing, 80th anniversary of the Normandy landing. And of course, Russia is not invited, by the way. They're going to celebrate Normandy landing. They're going to celebrate victory of the Nazi Germany, and Russia is not invited. How ironic, man. I don't even have a comment on that. But yesterday I mentioned that maybe that French contingent, by the way, that are being deployed to Ukraine will be neutralized before Macron will make that statement. So maybe he will be forced to make some changes in his speech schedule. Let's see. Kremlin is quite clear that any troops, French troops or whatever troops in Ukraine, will be seen as a legit target for Russia. RT's report here that the US votes to sanction ICC, International Criminal Court, over Israel. US House of Representatives on Tuesday voted to punish the International Criminal Court for even thinking of charging Israeli leaders with war crimes in Gaza. And then, quote, the idea that they would issue an arrest warrant for the Prime Minister of Israel, Defense Minister of Israel, at the time where they are fighting for their nation's very existence against the evil of Hamas as a proxy of Iran is unconscionable to us, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said on Tuesday, by the way. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, the ICC has to be punished for this action. And ICC is, these people maybe don't understand that ICC is their tool. Michael Johnson is not in a position to know what is going on really. He's not even close to position of real decision makers who run this show in the West and largely in the world. And therefore, he clearly don't understand that ICC is a tool. It's a weapon in hands of Western ruling class. So what are they doing, man? What are they doing? It's their tool. So if they want to sanction or destroy their own instrument, I mean, let them do it, man. Who cares? Who cares? Because ICC has no reputation and respect worldwide. Maybe some countries are afraid of sanctions from very same US and collective West for now, before alternative financial and banking system will be created by BRICS. And therefore they are not that open to criticize the ICC. But in general, man, I mean, who has any respect for ICC? Come on, nobody. So I mean, the U.S. House of Commons, they can go ahead and sanction everybody there in ICC. I have no issues with that, but it sounds crazy. By the way, it sounds crazy. They have no issues with ICC when this so-called International Criminal Court issued arrest warrant for Russian president and Russian ombudsman for children for saving lives of the children, by the way, and evacuating them from the line of contact. That's why there was order issued, by the way, on arrest of Russian president and the ombudsman of the children for saving Ukrainian kids, for evacuating them from line of contact. And Washington, U.S. House of Commons or representatives have no issue with that. They applaud this decision of ICC, this extremely unlawful and disgraceful decision of ICC. They applaud it then. And now, when one of the prosecutors of ICC said that he will ask for arrest warrant to be issued for Netanyahu and the defense minister because over 30,000 civilians being killed, by the way, with indiscriminate shelling. Very different situation. You cannot compare even. It's not even close to what is going on in Ukraine. Objectively, of course, there should be investigation of the actions of the Netanyahu and the IDF and other leadership of the Israel. But ICC did not issue any orders for arrest. This prosecutor just asked for order, and that was also PR stunt, by the way. ICC knows they have no reputation, and they could not ignore the situation in Palestine, and that's why they come up with this media operation. Because where is this order, by the way? How many weeks passed? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? Where is the order? They were very quick to issue order on arrest of Russian president for saving children from the war. And the very same ICC for several weeks now cannot issue order to arrest Netanyahu and whoever defense minister is there. It's a media operation. It was a media operation from the beginning. But these people, man, in US Senate, they just don't understand this. I guess. Or maybe they are also part of this media operation, and by demonstrating how unhappy they are with the ICC, they want to create for ICC some image that they are independent, sort of. But it will not work, man. Reputation of ICC is destroyed forever. Forever. It cannot be rebuilt with no media operation. And by the way, when it comes to differences between special military operation that Russia is conducting and the actions of the Netanyahu's government and their IDF, check UN's data, by the way. Check UN's data. Special military operation is almost like 3 years now, 2.5 years. And according to reports that I see, unfortunately, casualty numbers among civilians are 10 to 15,000, which is extremely unfortunate, which is tragedy, of course. But during these high-intensity military operations, extremely large-scale, high-intensity military operations, collateral damage, unfortunately, is inevitable. And you can clearly see a difference between collateral damage and intentional killing of civilians if you take a look what happened in the Gaza Strip, when in just several months since the beginning of this military operation, IDF killed twice more civilians. As a result of IDF operations, twice more civilians or 3 times more civilians were killed in just several months. So that's a difference between collateral damage and intentional killing of the civilians. And that's why, of course, Netanyahu should be prosecuted for war crimes and crimes against humanity. And everybody in Netanyahu's government, including so-called defense minister, those are mass murderers, man. Those are mass murderers and should be prosecuted. And in normal world, they would be prosecuted, but in this world, they would not, unfortunately. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that Russia, China, and Iran are calling Western states to resume a nuclear deal, which was achieved during the Obama era, I believe. Well, this is a non-starter. I guess this is a non-starter, but Russia, China, and Iran, at least they are trying to be constructive in relationships with the West, but this would not work, of course. Western ruling class, they are unable to negotiate, by the way. They don't know what diplomacy means, what diplomacy is. They cannot conduct negotiations. All they can is threaten, intimidate. That's what all they know at this point. And therefore, whenever topic is about negotiations and diplomacy, no, it's not non-starter, by the way. Current leadership of the collective West is I mean, they are too stupid. They are morons, imbeciles, by the way. They barely can probably we all know what that kind of people they are. Artists report here that Modi, Prime Minister of India, claims victory as BJP-led alliance secures majority. So Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has declared victory in the parliamentary elections for his party's alliance. Votes cast by over 640 million Indians were counted on Tuesday, while Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party and its National Democratic Alliance partners won fewer seats than expected. Together they have over 290 seats, which is enough to have a majority in the Parliament of India, and therefore this is a victory for current Prime Minister and his cabinet, because they will, many of them, including of course current Prime Minister, maintain their offices, I guess, and their positions. RT is reporting, and by the way, this is biggest in the world elections, by the way, largest elections in the world that are taking place in India. India is the most populated country in the world, and these elections are biggest elections in the world. Overall, there are some 900 million voters, I believe, and some about 700 voters probably participate. 640 million votes already being cast. So let's continue. RT is reporting that Biden is not ruling out boots on the ground in Taiwan. Well, Ukraine is not enough for them. Of course, their main target for Western ruling class is China, and they are using Ukraine to militarize collective West as much as possible, and we clearly see this process, isn't it? And they are militarizing collective West exactly against China, because that's their main target, because they see China as the only country that can challenge collective West in terms of political influence, economical influence, and soon to be in military influence also. Just give it another like 15, 20, maybe 30 years, and Chinese Navy, Air Force, Chinese military, they're gonna be probably most powerful in the world. Let's see. US President Joe Biden has declined to say how his nation would defend Taiwan from Beijing's military, but would not rule out putting boots on the ground on the self-administrated Chinese island. So yeah, of course they will use Taiwan. They will try to use Taiwan, this Western ruling class, for whom Biden is basically working to destroy China, to provoke conflict, and then use this conflict to demonize China, and then harm China as much as they can to neutralize it, and by doing so, try to maintain their own dominance over the globe. While there is option, by the way, there is other way, multipolar world. But Western ruling class, they are stupid, by the way. They are dumb as hell. They cannot understand that multipolar world is beneficial for the collective West also, and Western ruling class also, because they will lose this war against China, by the way. They will lose this war against China because China is not alone. China is not alone. It's a Western collective West that is isolated now from the rest of the world. Not Russia, not China, not India, none of the other countries. And China is not alone. It's so obvious, man. Entire BRICS, by the way, is built on idea of multipolarity. Because all major countries and all smaller countries, by the way, understand that in a multipolar world, there will be much higher chances that world, to create, more justice to exist in this world. While how world will operate under dominance of the West, we already seen, and we didn't like it much. RIA Novosti's report here that Georgian government, by the way, continues to troll Western ruling class. Recently, they adopted law about foreign agents, despite all the protests and hysteria in the collective West leadership, from collective West leadership. And now, Georgian ruling party introduced to the parliament draft bill about banning LGBT and then whatever alphabets there are, propaganda. And of course, this is gonna be trigger also for globalists and their puppets in the governments in the collective West. How dare you gonna ban propaganda of the LGBTQ? That's the attitude that they will have towards Georgian government. Let's see. But these guys have some, some nerves in leadership of Georgia. They, they are playing with fire, man. But it's good for Georgia. Of course, LGBTQ propaganda should be banned. By the way, it's banned in Russia. It should be banned everywhere. That's a normal approach. So, Georgia is on the right path, I will say. But still, these globalist neolips and so on, and their puppets in governments in the collective West not gonna like it. And we will see a new wave of hysteria from them. RIA Novosti's report that G7 countries are continuing to work on a topic of issuing credit Turkey regime under guarantees of Russian frozen assets. This was stated by Janet Yellen, finance minister of US, and well, I mean, day in, day out, these guys, they see these frozen assets, they cannot help themselves, they want to steal it, and they are looking for ways to steal it, simultaneously acting as if it's somehow becomes legal if they will create some additional even legislation. It would not be legal ever, because it's not yours, you cannot take it. As simple as that. So, I mean, here in Russia, I don't think anybody expects those frozen assets to ever be returned to Russia, and therefore no one really cares. But, I mean, we are just watching and basically, you know, commenting how Western ruling class is destroying last remnants of reputation of the Western financial and banking system that there is, if they have any reputation left, of course. TASS news agencies report, and this is big news, by the way. This is big news that according to Turkish foreign minister who was visiting China, according to Turkish foreign minister Hakan Fidan, Turkey is interested to join BRICS. Foreign minister made a statement in China, as I said, yesterday during official visit, and this is a big deal, by the way. If you remember, yesterday or day before even, and many times earlier, I was saying that, I mean, Turkey should make some crucial principal decisions where it sees itself. I mean, will Turkey continue to ask EU another decade or two or forever to be accepted in EU, which will never happen? Or will Turkey realize that it can be a partner of the BRICS member states, and it may find itself in a better position being a member of the BRICS? And well, probably government in Turkey, political leadership in Turkey are realizing this. They are realizing that for best interests of the Turkish society is to Turkey to become a first associated member with the BRICS, to get closer to the BRICS and this multipolar world, foundation of the multipolar world that is created very before our eyes, and then to join BRICS. It will benefit Turkey immensely, I believe, 100%. So great news, by the way, great news. I'm not quite sure that Western-controlled opposition in Turkey will be happy with these decisions, and therefore, of course, BRICS will take cautious approach, because we all know Turkey has a difficult story with military coups and regime changes, and US has its influence there, strong influence. But if there will be understanding that political class in general in Turkey are for closer ties with the BRICS, and maybe even for membership, then things may accelerate very quickly, and give it like 3-5 years, and Turkey may become BRICS member state. Maybe even earlier than that, who knows? TASS news agencies report here that head of biggest Russian banks, Bear, German Greffer, made a statement that Russian economy is overheated on extreme levels. Production is on 84%, and that's maximum. I mean, Russian production capacities, industrial, this and that, are on maximum. Also, by the way, demand is on high level. Economy is overheating, and some measures need to be taken to some calm down economy a little bit. But what you gonna do, man? What you gonna do? More companies need to be built. More factories need to be built. More enterprises, so that demand balance will be secured between demand and how you say it? Предложение, спрос и предложение. Supply and demand, and so there will be some balance between supply and demand, but it will take time. It will take time, and therefore I would not be surprised at all if Russian central bank will further increase percentage point from 16 to, I don't know, even 20 maybe, to cool down economy a little bit. I don't know, and I'm not even sure that will work at this point because, as Gref pointed out, production in Russia is, I mean, let me translate entirely this sentence to be more precise, and he should know, I mean, because he's in charge of biggest Russian banks, so he clearly knows situation in economy. So our economy is definitely and severely overheated. Never in our entire history have our main capacities been so loaded at the level of 84%. This is the limit above which it is simply impossible to move, and huge amounts of money are flowing into economy through their budget impulse also. So yes, economy is overheated. Of course, military industrial complex is working 24/7. Other sectors are working 24/7 that are producing not just civilian goods but also dual user goods. Huge amounts of money are moving around, and therefore demand is high. Yes, economy is overheated, and I'm not economist. What you gonna do in this case? I can imagine that if you build more factories, you can cool down economy because you can balance better supply and demand issue, and also more you producing. I mean, that will of course if these additional companies will also work not just on inside but outside markets also, that will also have positive impact on Russian currency, I guess. But another possible way to cool down economy is probably to increase this main percentage point from interest rate of the central bank. But I don't know, it's already too high, man. 16%. I mean, of course, if the central bank will increase interest rate up to 20%, it will cool down economy a little bit, probably. But in that case, I mean, banks will start experiencing huge difficulties, because who will want any credits from banks under this high percentage, under this high interest? So I guess 16 is already too high, and it's supposed to be lower than that. Anyways, by the way, that's for your information about state of Russian economy. Economy is overheated. Everything is working in maximum capacity, and and still there is not good enough balance between supply and demand. More need to be done. And by the way, I will end this update. I guess quite a long update. Yes, it's 59 minutes already. And I have just look at this. By the way, I have plenty of news for second part also. But first part, I will end with this news that Russian cosmonaut, what is his name, man? Oleg Kononenko is the first human who spent in space 1,000 days. This is a record, by the way, and previous record holder was also him. And from now on, I mean, every other day, he's gonna become a new record holder. So 1,000 days in space, by the way, 3 years almost in space. That's quite achievement. That's quite achievement. Something to tell to grandkids. So yes, great news. Great news. Further successes to Russian cosmonaut Oleg Kononenko, his colleagues, and also to Russian space program, and to scientists, by the way, worldwide. Success in scientific field in any country is successful for all humanity. I want to believe in that. There should be at least some spheres where we are united, all of us. And science definitely should be that sphere. Also, sport, culture. Although unfortunately, by the way, sport is also, I mean, politicized. You look at the international organizations, sporting organizations that are acting based on ideology of the Western ruling class. And when it comes to cultural and literature and I mean, these spheres unfortunately also are under pressure. And I guess there will be a day in fairly short time that Russian authors will be banned in EU member states. I'm not quite sure you can buy books of the Russian classics in Baltic states, for example. I would not be surprised if you cannot, if they are banned there. And I'm afraid very same may happen in other EU member states also. That's how bad situation is. But anyways, man, I have to end this update. At least science should unite us if it's possible, and if not, then well, it is what it is. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, informative, and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic will do, and maybe we will manage to influence algorithm today also. That would be great. And if you like this channel, if you think this channel is interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. All the links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for this first part. See you on Patreon page. I will start recording second part now. Have a great day, and thank you for your attention.